All right, welcome back inside the Now Morning Show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here with us. And we're talking internal self-government and governance for Tobago. And to do that this morning, I want to welcome the Honorable Shamfa Kujo, who's the Tobago West MP. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Ms. Kojo. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning to all of you. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Thanks for having me. I'm doing fine. Thank you.
Yes, you look very well. You look beautiful this morning.
As always. Yeah. I want to jump into it one time. I want to know your opinion on the amendments made by the JSC to the bills.
Well, first and foremost, I'm a member of the Joint Select Committee.
Oh.
And yes, I've had the opportunity to be a part of the Joint Select Committee from the 2018 to 2020 edition. And then again in November 2020 to date. We have made significant strides over the years. It has been a long, tedious process. As you know, this matter of internal self-government had been a long journey for us in Tobago.
Yeah.
And it still goes on from as early as 1977, when Mr. Robinson, who was a member for Tobago East at that point in time, would have brought the matter to the Parliament. We made some stride by the Act of 1980. It was a small step, but a significant one indeed. And then again in 1996, it wasn't quite what Robinson had envisioned or what the people of Tobago had desired as our position in 1980, but it was a step in the right direction, so Robinson accepted it. And here we are, 25 years after 1996, having gone through so many different stages and consultations. We're trying to make a huge leap towards our internal self-government, towards where we want to be. Many people are having a conversation about, oh, this is not the bill, or this is not the position that Tobago sent to Trinidad or sent to the cabinet in 2016. But I think that based on it, we cannot just be looking at what Tobago wants and getting it passed. The Joint Select Committee is about getting it passed, getting opposition passed in the Parliament. It's a negotiation. It's about concessions, about consultation. And I think that this is a giant step in the right direction.
Speak to us about those amendments. What were the amendments that the people are saying that this is not what Tobago really asked for?
Well, let's talk about what was our position. I had been a part of the consultations also from as early as 2008. If I've missed 3 of those consultations, I missed plenty. I have followed the movement all around following the consultation. So I know what the desires of the people are, what our aspirations are, where we want to be. And we would have made significant changes. If you look at what came to Tobago in 2018, when we did our first consultation in June of 2018, and then again, even this year, last month or month before last month, April 30th and May 1st, we would have listened to the people of Tobago. And,
right, I remember there were some consultations in Tobago. People were able to come into Victor E. Bruce building or to be online.
Virtually, yes, and make their contributions. And you would have seen members of the opposite side in Tobago saying, yes, we like this change or we support this specific change. And we have made significant stride from what we presented on April 30th and May 1st to what we have now. For instance, we would have gone from, on April 30th and May 1st, the whole matter of miles of administrative jurisdiction was taken out of the draft bills. And now we have that matter back as a front burner issue and placed in the Tobago Island Government Bill on the schedule, giving Tobago exclusive administrative jurisdiction for a wide number of areas up to 11 miles. So we have gone from 6 miles to 11 miles. We've gone from a membership.
So that was one of the issues for Tobagonians. How many nautical miles that determines
administrative jurisdiction. But you also have a concern that where there are Tobagonians and there are people who are saying this should be placed in the Constitution and we should separate Tobago from Trinidad, have a definition for Tobago and a definition for Trinidad. And all advice from the legal luminaries had been, and still is, that we shouldn't, if we're trying to maintain the unitary state, then we shouldn't separate to say this is Tobago waters or this is Trinidad waters, but we can have an internal arrangement where we have administrative jurisdiction, as was done in 1996, in the Act 40 of 1996. In that same spirit, we have taken the advice of the legal luminaries because we were told that it would bring significant challenges as it relates to international treaties and agreements and so on. And when we went, we must admit and acknowledge that when we went out to Tobagonians for consultations from 2008 all the way to 2014, 2016, we had said we do not want secession. We do not want to leave the Union of Trinidad and
so
Tobago.
are you suggesting to me, Minister, that if there's a definition for Trinidad and one for Tobago, that would lead to some kind of cessation?
That if we place in the Constitution a separation or a delineation of Tobago waters and Trinidad waters, that would put us in some challenges, because we are defined as Trinidad and Tobago one unitary state, and the waters of Trinidad and Tobago are not seen as a separating factor, but a united factor in this unitary state. And we were asked our mandate as a joint select committee, and what was asked of us from the Tobago Forum of Parties and the people of Tobago through consultation is, yes, we want internal self-government, but we want to also maintain the unitary state. And I think that some people are shifting their positions as it relates to what is the definition of internal self-government, because we have some people in Tobago and in Trinidad also who are foisting on Tobagonians that internal self-government means secession. When we consulted Tobagonians, we did not speak to secession. The people of Tobago said that they did not want secession. So to come now at this point in time to try to piggyback on an internal self-government movement or journey towards more authority and autonomy for the Tobago people and our Tobago Island government, and then try to sneak in secession there, it is unfair.
I don't know that people could say that they want secession. We're talking
about the conversation is alive and well right now.
But the thing is that to say that you want secession also has to mean that we cannot be talking about a budget for Trinidad and Tobago where Tobago is getting X percentage of the monies of Trinidad and Tobago. If you want secession, then it means that you also have to figure out how you're paying your own bills. I don't know that you can want your cake and eat it.
Exactly. So the thing is, with secession, you have to have, if you're saying that no, the Tobago position has changed to secession, and I don't believe that. There are a couple of people who are claiming that they speak for all of Tobago and Tobago wants secession, and that is not so. If you are now trying to say that the position has changed, and there is nothing that stands in the way of Tobago now changing its mind as it relates to our right to self-determination that we want to leave, although I know that's not the position on the ground, then you have to have that consultation and that conversation with Tobago people, and you have to show them your secession strategy, your exit strategy, saying that we gonna make it. Don't worry about we gonna make it. That is not a plan. Where is your we gonna make it plan?
So they want a Brexit in effect.
Exactly, and we have to be very careful of that. That what we do now doesn't have that same sort of Brexit effect, and that by saying because we didn't get all the things that we have desired based on what we had proposed in 2016 to just throw away the baby with the bathwater, I think that is not a good position, because even Robinson himself would have taken steps to get to where we are. And you can't, if we throw out the baby with the bathwater right now and say, okay, we're rejecting the bill, that means we are saying we're going back to Act number 40 of 1996. This proposal before us right now is a step in the right direction. It doesn't throw us off course. We are getting 6.8% of the budget. We are getting the ability to borrow. We are getting proper representation in the public service of Trinidad and Tobago. And there are so many benefits that we can talk about that even members of the opposition would have said, yes, we support this, we support that. So I think we need to embrace this opportunity and continue to build from there on. So if we're telling Tobagonians, okay, this is an opportunity to leave, are we in that position where we can really stand on our own? And
Minister, I am wondering if the people who are calling for cessation have even looked at Brexit to see the fallout of calling for cessation. People are going to have to be talking about getting a different passport. They're going to have to be talking about organizing their own travel between Trinidad and Tobago. They're going to have to be talking about their own budget. There are so many things, and I don't know if people, do they think that with cessation, they're just going to be able to hop on the boat, come to Trinidad, do what they want to do, and that the prices remain the same? We saw with Brexit, even the fishermen weren't able to go out and fish as they used to, and that was such a big deal, and how it affected things in England. You know what I mean? We saw with Brexit that you wanted Ireland, it was Northern Ireland wanted to stay and Southern Ireland wanted to go. There were so many things that were affected. So are we going to end up with a Tobago East wanting to go and a Tobago West wanting to stay? You know what I mean?
Natalie, we have been having this conversation for a long time and doing consultations for such a long time, and there were opportunities for those opposites to be a part. They were invited to join the forum and did not accept the invitation. And even when we came in 2018, I remember Fadi Augustine participating in consultations then. And even after that, the PDP did not submit opposition from 2018 to 2020. It was in the last month of the committee's life in May that the PDP submitted a position. And I think that's coming at the last minute to try to change the whole thing around. Yes, you've won 6 seats, but you have to respect the process. At the end of the day, we are trying to bring to life, to reap the fruits of the labor of Tobagonians from all sides of the divide who came to the consultation and spoke to what they wanted to see. And yes, we are not spot on as it relates to getting to the destination, but I think that we are well on our way. And this process is not just about getting these proposals passed to join select committee, but also past the parliament, where there already are a number of members opposite who believe that Tobago is already with its 4.03% getting too much, and have often compared Tobago to their municipal corporations and their little communities, saying Tobago is getting too much, and they may not be minded to even vote for or in support of these concessions that we have with this proposal today. You know, so we have to take it in steps, and we have to take it in stride, and we have to plan and strategize also, because as much as we talk about the resources that are out in the sea and the seabed and so on, we have to build the infrastructure and build our position so that we can move closer and closer to that position of saying, hey, we are manning our own house.
Well, this is what I want to ask, Minister. Minister, what is the goal? What is the ultimate goal? If we're going to keep inching forward and inching forward, what is the point where we're going to say this is where we want to get to?
And I think that is for the people of Tobago to say. When we did the consultations, we spoke to maintaining the unitary state, and we had some conversations also about federalism, but we see federalism as a destination, as a place to get to, and we have to build our capacity as we move closer and closer to that. So for instance, we have to build our infrastructure. We have to build, as we speak to monetizing the resources in the sea, as we speak about, to building our technical capacity and our human resources and so on, so we can really get to the point of that level of self-government that we all desire. And if you look at the journey of Scotland, Northern Ireland, and so many other countries and jurisdictions that we often refer to, it was a step-by-step process. And I'm saying, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There are significant gains in this bill that is before us. I say we embrace this opportunity to get this, because you have here a Tobagonian Prime Minister who has his cabinet. We have to support this bill. We studied this bill, we studied the position, and we are doing as much for Tobago as we can in this time. Bringing to Tobago the type of development that was promised over the years. For instance, we talk about ferries, we talk about the airport, and I don't know of another prime minister, of another government, another administration that would have done these things. So here we are right now with an opportunity to bring home a large bit of these gains to Tobago. And I think we need to embrace this opportunity and continue our march forward.
So after this Joint Select Committee, what's the next step? What happens going forward?
Right, so the Joint Select Committee has laid its report in the Parliament, and the report, we have to do a little debate to adopt the report in Parliament, and then we go to considering and debating the bills. And even at that point in time, as we debate the bills and consider the bills, I think that changes can still be made on the parliamentary floor. It is a matter of consensus and not necessarily unanimity. There are some areas that I think, there's an area, for instance, I am passionate about. The Dispute Resolution Committee, we were able to change it so that, so make the amendment so that it's equal representation and something that's more palatable for Tobagonians and for us as a nation. And I think the same frame of mind or the same principle should be applied to the FRC, which is the Fiscal Review Committee. That's one change I hope that we can make on the parliamentary floor. But you have the increase in miles for administrative jurisdiction. What I like about this is that we have a wider area of administrative jurisdiction, a larger number of areas, and we are now entrenching in the Constitution that a government or the president in the future cannot change the Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 by taking away from. You can only add to, giving more responsibility. So I think we make law for not just for good people in good times who practice good governance. If we were all that all the time, we wouldn't need law. We wouldn't need legislation because everybody would be good people doing their work and doing it to the best of our ability for the greater good. We make law also to ensure that certain principles and rights are entrenched for bad times. When you
Minister, just to clarify, for some people who may not understand, can you explain what that Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 thing is?
Okay, Schedule 1 speaks to the areas which the Tobago House of Assembly or the Tobago Island government has exclusive administrative responsibility, where you have, for the most part, cabinet dominance has been removed, and now we have the Tobago House of Assembly or the Tobago Island government responsible for the general direction and development of
And I remember that was one of the areas that people were concerned about, that even though it's supposed to be self-government, is that things still had to go to cabinet for approval.
Right, so we have we are proposing to amend Section 75A of the Constitution, where much of cabinet control has been removed and the Tobago Island government is now responsible for those specific areas. Now, Schedule 2 speaks to the areas that we have exclusive lawmaking power, where we can make laws to further direct our development in a wide number of areas. And we can only add to those areas. You can't take away. So it's about...
So then with that in place, what are the arguments for cessation?
Well, some of the arguments...
Just the definition?
Some of the arguments include that we should be able to say these are Tobago waters and that's Trinidad waters. We want exclusive lawmaking power for the waters that we call our own, and exclusive lawmaking powers for all the areas under our control. And we're saying if we are part of the central government, if we are part of the unitary state, we are maintaining this Trinidad and Tobago arrangement, then the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago has to be the supreme lawmaking body. And the arrangements and treaties and conventions that we have entered as the unitary state of Trinidad and Tobago must still be respected, and anything done in Tobago should not damage or do anything harmful to that.
We are out of time, but when will this be laid in the Parliament?
It's already laid in the Parliament. We are looking towards debating this matter next week, and we're trying to say to Tobagonians, let's embrace the gains that have been made. Let's embrace this opportunity to get this bill passed. And those of us who are friends in the UNC and friends, opposite friends in Trinidad, encourage them that if you so love Tobago and support Tobago, step with us in this right direction. Help us in making this giant step towards our internal self-government. I actually think that the UNC is hiding behind the PDP because the UNC themselves think that the Tobago House of Assembly and Tobagonians are getting too much, but they're afraid to come out and say so because it would not look good on them politically. So they're piggybacking on the PDP saying, well, oh, Tobagonians don't want it. So they are riding our people and preventing us from making this giant step. I'm saying it's a step in the right direction, just like Robinson would have taken it in a step-by-step process. Even Robinson as Prime Minister with a 33-3 lead wasn't able to bring the thing home the way he wanted to. And understand that this is a national conversation where we require the Parliament support and people from all areas of Trinidad and Tobago. So I think we should embrace this opportunity to take these gains and continue to run the distance until we get to our destination. We shouldn't be having a destination conversation, but also a journey conversation. And we are well on our way in this journey by accepting these proposals.
All right, Minister, we do have to leave it there. Well, thank you so much for speaking with us this morning, and we look forward to that debate in the Parliament.
Thank you very much, Natalie. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Trinidad and Tobago. Have a good one.
Take care.
Yes. Shamfa Kojo, they're talking to us. Well, if the people of Tobago want cessation, we might just have to go back to the Joint Select Committee and go back out for consultations.
Let's take a break and come back with more inside the Now Morning Show.